Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Ola. Welcome here. Thank you for being here today. I see a few more people are joining. We will just dive right in. If you can hear me, just type in the chat box and say, yes, I can hear you, or just give me an emotion, just so I know, emoji, just so I know that everyone can hear me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I can see that now. All right. Thank you, everybody. All right. I'm just going to adjust the view. Speaker. And then I will pin myself so everyone can see me when I'm talking. Spotlight. Yes, that's it. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and share my slides. It's a webinar, so there's no expectation for you to have your video on in any way. If you're gonna be sharing anything, I would appreciate it if you share in the chat box. I'm hoping that today is going to be very impactful for you and you get all of the information you need to change, to level up your resume and actually elevate your career. My name is Ola, and I'm the founder of The Successful Newcomer. You'll learn more about me when I begin to share my slides. I don't want to waste any time. Thank you once again for being here, everybody. And for being here on time. That's nice. I'm wondering why I cannot share my sound. Okay, doesn't matter. Slide. Share. And if you can see my slides, just give me any form of, are those things called smileys or emoji? Emoji, yes. Good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for letting me know. So again, welcome to the webinar. It's called Elevate Your Career and Resume Strategies to Stand Out in the Canadian Job Market. And so what we're going to be talking about today, all through today, will be resumes, Canadian resumes to be precise. And I encourage you to please engage in the chat box, If there's something, if you have questions, you can keep your questions until the end. But if you have thoughts to share, if anything I've said is impacting you in any way, feel free to engage in the chat box. And I will be checking as often as I can. Again, my name is Olabukola for short. My pronouns are she and her. I'm of Nigerian origin. I'm the founder of Successful Newcomer. I mentioned that before. I have over 16 years of experience across various industries. I'm a nonprofit consultant. I'm a learning experience designer and a part-time college professor. I moved to Canada in June 2020 as a skilled worker, and I became a Canadian citizen in January 2024. I think on January 4, I believe. Yeah. I got my first job in Canada in less than 4 weeks of actively applying. And I actually started getting interviews from Nigeria. I went back to Conestoga College to study community and social service management, and I got my third job before I graduated. So I got my second job also within 3 days of applying. Full disclosure, I had 2 offers, but one of those offers was a referral. So maybe it doesn't count for the quality of my resume. The reason I'm mentioning all of this is for you to know that it's not a fluke. This resume game is something that I actually do know. And I'm hoping to be able to impart that knowledge to an extent, on everybody who is here tonight. Just please pay attention. Please pay attention. It's not a webinar for the sake of a webinar. It's a webinar where we actually do seek to impact. So please pay attention. Thank you. And if you feel like I'm moving too fast, do not hesitate to let me know. I'll slow down a little bit. I have activated the captions. You should be able to see the captions right now. And you should be able to, read through if I happen to be speaking too fast. And pardon me, I have a bit of a cold, and so that's why my voice is sounding a bit cracked, I think. Let me see if I have activated the recording. Okay, so it's currently recording. And I know that everybody got a notification that the meeting has been recorded. We're also live streaming on YouTube, just so you know. And that's why I said there's no expectation whatsoever for you to turn on your video. I ask that you please ensure that your audio is muted so you do not interrupt the session and you do not just have your business out in public. So today we'll be talking about, we'll do an overview of the Canadian job market and the dynamics and challenges for newcomers to Canada. We'll talk about the key differences in the Canadian job market. We'll talk about Canadian resume essentials, common sections. Generally, I presume that a lot of people would know that already. And then we'll talk about how to write a professional summary. This is where we're going to spend a bit of time because I really want people to, this is something that I've heard people tell me that they struggle with while we're trying to design this webinar and the resume writing toolkits, which you would get to know about later today. We actually engaged with one of the top employment agencies within the region of Waterloo. I live within the region of Waterloo in Canada, Kitchener specifically, and they said to us that their most common question is how to write a professional resume. So we made sure to include how to write a professional resume in the webinar and also in the toolkit that we'll introduce to you at the end of the webinar. And then we'll talk about addressing common resume challenges. Okay. So before we go ahead, I just want to quickly launch a poll, a quiz actually, just so I know where everybody is at this time, and I can know if I don't need to spend time on a particular part of the webinar. So I'm going to launch a quiz right now. It's just 5 questions. There's just answers. It's not like you have to be correct. I just want to know where everybody is at this point in time. So it's launched now. I want to believe everybody can see it. I want to believe you can see it, and you can scroll through to answer the questions. Can everybody see the quiz? Just type in the chat box and let me know. Or do an image. Oh, great. I know some people can see it. Good. Thank you. Okay. 4 of 16, okay? And we had 64 registrations for this webinar. I'm hoping other people join as we go along. 7 people have participated. Out of 16, I'm waiting for 9 more. 8, okay. 7 more to participate. Okay, 11, 5 more. So I'm just gonna wait until we clock 2 minutes. Once we clock 2 minutes, I will go ahead. What I'm looking at now tells me that we still need to talk about a lot of things. Okay. I'm glad nobody's saying that the number of pages does not matter. That's good. That's a good sign. Okay. Listen, job responsibility. Okay, some people said true. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay. Great. Great. 12 out of the 12 people who have responded have said, you do not need to include your photo on your resume. And I agree. Okay. Okay, this is good. We're all in a good spot. Okay, so it's 2 minutes already. I'll just do a quick debrief. I will end the poll now. Let me see if it's going to be there. It's still there. And I'm hoping that you can still see the results. Somebody sent a chat. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So I'll just do a quick debrief. Some people said that resumes can be 2 to 3 pages. Yeah, to an extent, you're correct. You're not wrong. But typically, I would say 1 to 2 pages. 1 to 2 pages, maximum 2 pages. If it's a referral, if it's a friendship kind of thing, you might be able to, get away with 3. I know I've gotten away with 3 pages with like referrals and just conversations. But typically, I would say keep it to a maximum of 2 pages, and you can do it no matter how experienced you are. You certainly can keep it to 2 pages. Listing more job responsibilities makes your resume stronger. For the people who said false, you are correct. It doesn't make your resume stronger. It depends on what you have stated there. If you are including responsibilities that do not match the job role, it doesn't necessarily make your job resume stronger, right? So that's not particularly true. The third question is, Canadian employers only accept resumes in one specific format? No, that's false, because as long as the ATS can read it, as long as it's clear, there's no specific format. In fact, there's a saying in the resume space that resume writing is like beauty in the eye of the beholder, right? So someone can tell you, oh, arrange your resume in this way, and some other person says, oh, it's this way. It's a bit subjective, right? It's just for you to know that there are some specific things you need to pay attention to. There are some guardrails. As long as you're within those guardrails, you are good. So there's no specific format per se. but there's a preferred format. I'm so glad that nobody said that, you need to include your photo in your resume. Please do not include your photo in your resume. That's a big, big error. It opens you up to biases, and you don't want that. Not for you, not for the person reviewing your resume. And you must never remove any work experience from your resume. If you've done it, it must be on your resume. False, absolutely false. False, false, false. And I'm glad that a lot of people know that already. You can remove it. If you've done it, you can remove it. If it does not apply to the job, you can certainly remove it. So I have great people in the room today. Thank you for participating, all 13 people who participated. And I didn't share the results, sorry. I wasn't sharing the result. I was just talking, and I hope you got information from the way I was talking. So I will stop sharing now so we can go ahead. Stop sharing and close. If you can still see it on your screen, let me know and I'll find a way to get it out. It's not showing on my own screen anymore. So moving on. Here's what some people have said about my sessions. Just so you know, you have to pay attention. My sessions are fire, so you have to pay attention. I'm very good at this. Okay, I know I'm sounding cocky now. Pardon me. Just for you to know, the people who have been impacted. This is just some of the people who have been impacted. I can't possibly put everybody. I just wanted you to see this. Let's move on so we don't spend too much time on that. So key differences in the Canadian market. So the formatting of the resume is very important. Your resume, again, has to be 2 pages. Your margins have to be clear. I made a mistake of shortening my margins when I just came to Canada because I wanted more space. And the thing is that space, shortening your margin might put you at risk of not going through the ATS favorably. And the ATS in this case is called the applicant tracking system. That's the software through which most employers, use screen applicants and then kind of filter the most eligible applicants to the top. That's what is called the applicant tracking system. And different employers use different types of applicant tracking systems. So that's why your resume has to be well formatted. I would say lots of white spacing. Your line spaces has to be great, 1.5, at least 1.5. If you don't do at least 1.5, there's a way for you to go on Word for you to ensure that there's at least some good white spaces. We'll see a resume sample in the subsequent slides, and you can see what I'm talking about. Again, there are government regulated certifications also, which is why you have to understand the Canadian job market first before you start working on your Canadian resume, if you have worked on your Canadian resume already. So let me ask, I don't need to, there's another poll that I had where I was going to ask if, if you've done your Canadian resume. From the responses to the poll, I feel like most people here have done their Canadian resume. So I'm not going to go ahead to ask anymore. But if you have done your Canadian resume already, without first trying to understand the Canadian job market, I would say you need to go back. That's a vital step that you skipped. You need to go back and do your research on the Canadian job market. And you can do that through the job bank, through maybe regulatory bodies, professional regulatory bodies, and even job postings, how to review a job posting. By reviewing different job postings, it's going to help you to understand what's in demand, what people want, what employers typically ask for, and things like that. I just need to cough for a minute. Sorry, excuse me. Okay. And again, you may have heard this already. If you went to school in Canada, or if you're currently in school in Canada, or if you've done any pre-arrival program, you know that there's a significant amount of focus on soft skills like leadership skills, teamwork, problem solving. Problem solving is huge. Communication is massive. Presentation skills, which is also part of communication, very important for you to have those skills. And if you do have them, very important for you to show on your resume that you have them and you can use them. Also, networking is very key. Networking is very important. I know networking is not part of your resume, but I would be doing you a great disservice if I do not mention to you that networking is key. It doesn't start and end with your resume. you'd also need to network. I did mention to you that one of the jobs that I got before I graduated from Conestoga College was through a referral. And referrals can only come through networking, right? So networking is very important. The good thing is there's okay, so I'm just gonna hold on until the end to share this. Moving on, key statistics. As of mid-2024, Canadian employment rate stands at 5.5%, relatively low. But the truth is, I want to believe that everybody here in this room, thank you to everybody who joined after we started. Everybody here in this room knows that it's not the same percentage for newcomers and internationally trained professionals. Even for Black people, even for racialized people, it's not the same. The percentage is much, much higher. There are bigger struggles for people in the workspace, which is why you need to put your best foot forward at every point in time. I have to be mindful of time, so I'm just checking that out. Also, there's an estimated 65 to 80% of jobs in Canada that are filled through networking, which is why I said to you that networking is very important. In fact, there's research that says it's up to 85% of jobs. We also have a video series. I did say to you that I'm the founder of the Successful Newcomer. I do this work with my husband, Ayodeji Misha. He's also here today, and we have a video series called Rising Strong. He's the producer of that video series. And many people said to us in that video series that somebody actually said to us that they got a job 1 year before the job was posted. They got to know about the job 1 year before it was posted. Somebody said to us that they had a conversation, and after having a conversation with the hiring manager, they then went ahead to write the job description for them. So networking is very important. And then over 75% of large companies in Canada use the applicant tracking system to filter resumes, which is why you have to pay attention to it. New migrants often face, an unemployment rate that's nearly double that of native-born Canadians. That's people who were born in Canada within their first year of arrival. So it's a struggle. Even 2, 3, 4, 5 years later, people are still struggling. People do start with survival jobs. They think they're starting with survival jobs and they get stuck on the jobs. It's a true story, right? So knowing all of that, that's just to set the context. And it's not to scare anybody. It's not to paint a gloomy picture. It's to show the exact, position we're in right now. I often encourage people, when you come to Canada, do your personal SWOT analysis. And a personal SWOT analysis, I want to believe everybody knows what it is. That's a strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. It's very important for you to know what might work against you, so you can position yourself to, surmount any challenges that those things might bring. So that's why we painted all of that. That's why we shared all of that information. So knowing that, you have to know that most Canadians, even if you don't take any other thing from this webinar, this is very important, because I've heard people say to me that, why is tailoring important? Why do you keep talking about tailoring? I've even heard people say that when we talk about tailoring and we're saying use the exact words, I have felt uncomfortable when people have told me, oh, use the exact words as much as possible, exact keywords now on the job posting as you would be using on your resume, right? I felt really uncomfortable. Why would you tell me to use the exact? Wouldn't that make me look like I'm copying the job posting? I understand that, but the truth, one thing you have to know that I really want to mention to you today is that most Canadian recruiters are not specialist recruiters. That's very important for you to know. And the reason that's very, very important for you to know is that someone who is not a specialist, who is recruiting across like 5 different industries or different specializations, would not have the in-depth knowledge that you expect somebody who is reviewing your resume to have, enough to understand synonyms within the space. So what I'm trying to say is, I'll give you an example. If you're in the financial services industry and you call, maybe typically from your home country, you call savings accounts liabilities, like is the case for my own home country, liabilities. And you're seeing on a job posting that, oh, just, we want you to be able to manage savings accounts. And you're thinking, oh, my resume says liabilities. So anybody who is reviewing my resume would know that once I say liabilities, it also means savings account. No, it does not mean the same. Absolutely not. savings accounts. That's what the job posting says, and that's what you have to put on your resume. Very important to know this. For the tech people, I'm not the tech person, but I do also know that some recruiters in the tech space are not specialist recruiters. So if you have, I have no idea what I'm saying now, maybe like a Java qualification, you're thinking is the same as a CompTIA. I'm wrong. Let me not even try. What I'm trying to say is whatever qualifications you have, if you think it's the same. Okay, so let me, very simple example, Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel, we know that they do the same job, right? They're both spreadsheets you can use for calculations, reporting, and all of those things. If the job posting is asking for Microsoft Excel, by all means, put Microsoft Excel on your resume, not Google Sheets, because you just might be surprised that the person who uploaded information on the applicant tracking system may not have or also uploaded Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets, whatever is not on the job posting. Very important for you to know. So, and another thing for you to know is that on the average, recruiters in Canada spend 6 to 10 seconds reviewing a resume before making a decision. So you can imagine that if they're not specialist recruiters, they're just spending about 10 seconds on your resume, they're just skimming through. They want to be seeing words that they have on the job posting. So if they're looking at it, they're not seeing any word that they have on the job posting, they're discarding your resume. That's if it's a human being. If it's an applicant tracking system, they're not even uploading words that you have on your resume on the applicant tracking system. So the applicant tracking system is not going to pick your resume. So if you've been wondering why specific language is important, this is it. Moving on, just very quickly looking at these resumes. What do you think of these resume formats? If you can just quickly type for me in the chat box. What do you think of these resume formats? Is there anybody here in this room whose resume is in this format, is in any of this format or something similar to this? Type for me in the chat box very quickly, please. I'm running against time. 7:26. Anybody home? Just say yes, no. If your resume is in the same format, the black font is easily readable. Okay. Okay. Someone says their resume is not in this format. Okay, the black font is readable. Just waiting for a few more people. Somewhat similar. Okay. The one on the right, the skills progress but are not good for ants. Okay. It's for the ATS, I believe you want to write. My resume is not in this format. We cannot see properly. Oh, okay, that's fine. We can't see properly because it's just an image I got off the internet. Okay, that's fine. I see here that someone said that the resume is somewhat similar. Okay. Right, that's where we're going. Let's go to the next slide. Let me show you. So what do you think of these resumes, this format? Do you think they're boring? Would you call them boring? So if you think they're boring, say yes. If you think they're not boring, say no. No? Okay. Okay. That's nice. Yes. Okay. So someone says yes. Okay. Someone says no. Okay. Okay. That's okay. Thank you, everybody. Depends on the industry. Okay. 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 Thank you. The reason I asked everybody is because even in recent times, I've seen a lot of people use this format for their resume. I'm not saying it's not horrible. It's nice. I have had this kind of format before. It's attractive, but my suggestion within the Canadian space is to use something similar to this. Keep it simple. Because the thing is, if your resume is being uploaded and it's going through the applicant tracking system, have you ever tried to copy a table or copy like bullet points or something that's in 2 columns from maybe PDF onto Word? Do you see how it tends to get scattered sometimes? That's likely what your resume is going through. So this is nice, but you cannot be sure that it's going to be in the same way when it goes through the applicant tracking system, which is why you need to keep it simple. Keep it as simple as possible. That's my suggestion. Right? Keep it as simple as possible. This is clear. And if I'm trying to think about it also, if I'm spending just 10 seconds or 7 seconds, there's this research recently carried out by Canva, and they actually calculated the amount of time that recruiters spend on resumes. as 7.4 seconds. If I'm only spending 7.4 seconds on a resume and I'm just looking through, this format cannot help you because it's confusing. There's not enough white spaces. I don't even know where to look. Experience where it's, but imagine you're looking at this, the professional summary, I'm able to quickly look at it. Oh, does this person have the skills? No. Or, it's just clear and there's white space. There's white space is the amount of, spacing between your lines and your words. It's just clear enough for me to quickly see and make a decision on whether or not I want to go ahead to read or I want to, dump your resume in the wherever I'm going to dump it. I just wanted to show you that. So moving on, you probably know this already. I'm just going to rush through just in case there's anybody here who doesn't know. The sections, typical sections of common sections of a Canadian resume, your name and contact details, that's your name, your address, phone number, email address. If there's nothing to show on your LinkedIn, there's nothing of, some people hide, I dealt with a lot of doubts, on LinkedIn. I didn't want to go on LinkedIn for a while. So if you're at that level at this point, you haven't really activated your LinkedIn, there's not much to show, I would say maybe don't include your LinkedIn profile. So that's just there because that's something I typically do. So your full name, certainly not negotiable. Your city and province, your phone number, not negotiable also. Your email address, not negotiable also. I have to mention that you have to keep your email address professional. I stopped mentioning this. In fact, we have a resume toolkit that I'm going to introduce you at the end of the webinar. We didn't mention in the resume toolkit that you need to, keep your email address professional because I thought everybody knew that. But I saw a resume 2 days ago that still had a nickname embedded in it. So I would say keep your email address professional, please. First name, last name at whatever.com. I know that some names are common. It's okay to include numbers, full stops, hyphens, underscores, those things just to ensure that, or maybe a short form of your name, but keep it professional, not things like snazzy, hola, pretty, things like that. No, please. Let's keep things professional. The next section would be your professional summary. I do not have that here for some reason. Sorry about that. Your professional summary, which is here. And that's a very important part. Please ignore what's there right now. That's just a sample. I do not expect that anybody will write their professional summary like that. We'll talk about professional summaries very quickly, very soon. I'm just checking the time. Your skills, there are different ways for you to write your skills. In some cases, you can list out your skills. In some cases, you can write your skills, you can embed your skills into your achievements. So you don't necessarily have to say skills, you can write achievements and then state there's a way for you to write your achievements. State your achievements, led a team of 10 to deliver a CRM project and saved the organization 50% of cost, 50% cost, something like that, right? I'm blanking out right now, 50% costs through problem solving, relationship management, budget management. You can do that. You can write your achievement like that. But in some cases, in a lot of cases, you can actually get away with writing your skills like this, especially if you have put them in columns where it's not taking too much space on your resume. I know people struggle with writing their skills because if you have 10 skills or 5 skills and it's taking so much space, then that's a challenge, right? So there's a way for you to do your skills in such a way that you put them in columns and they don't take too much space on your resume. There's a section where you talk about your professional experience. That's where you have your JD, led a team of 5, delivered a customer relationship management project within time and within budget through stakeholder engagement, effective stakeholder engagement, leverage this, led, collaborated with, you're using terms like that, words like that. That's where you have your job description. And then you can move on to your volunteer activities. I know some people like to put their volunteer activities at the tail end. Again, resume is beauty in the eye of the beholder. You can decide to put it at the tail end. You can decide to put it here, right after your professional experience, depending on how strategic you want to be. If your volunteer activities are directly linked to the job you're applying for, so maybe you're applying for an event management role and you have helped to, organize a carnival a couple of weeks ago, there was the Caribana Festival in the region of Waterloo, in the city of Kitchener. Maybe you were a member of that team that organized the Caribana Festival. You volunteered, yes, it wasn't your professional experience, but this is an event planning role. Think about it. Does it make sense that you would want to actually list your volunteer experience right after your professional experience? So they can very quickly see that you also have that volunteer experience, particularly if your event management experience is from your home country, right? And your only event management experience in Canada was with, the Caribana team. That's a good one for you to put there so they can see that you have some Canadian experience. Also, listing your volunteer activities is an amazing way to showcase that you have some Canadian experience. It's an amazing way to showcase that you're proactive. It's an amazing way to showcase that you're building relationships. It's an amazing way to showcase that you have people who can speak for you. So beyond, I know that the times are tough right now. People need to make money. And people are just tired of hearing volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. I do know that. But I tell you, volunteering is deeply embedded into the Canadian social fabric. It is deeply, deeply embedded in it. I told you the other time that I just became a citizen of Canada. Even in your citizenship preparation, when you're preparing for your citizenship test, it's written there that that's one of the things you to show that you're a good citizen, you're an active citizen. Imagine that it's in your citizenship preparation. It shows that it's deeply embedded, woven into the fabric of the Canadian society. So it just doesn't really look good for you not to have any volunteer experience on your resume. And there's so much we can say about volunteer experience. It doesn't, when people hear volunteering, maybe you think it's 40 hours per week. It doesn't have to be that. It can be just 1 hour in 1 quarter, actually. It can be an event volunteer experience. It can be a speaking experience. It can even be a volunteer experience from your home country. And we speak a lot more about this in the resume writing toolkit. Your education and training also very important to have that listed. Very important for me to mention that you need to be listing your most recent education and experience first. So in recent times, I have seen resumes from people who are experienced, who have, everything kind of scattered. I think maybe they heard somewhere that you have to write the experience that's most relevant to the job first. I get that, but list your most recent experience first, and then include your most relevant job description there. So, for example, if you were a customer service manager for the government of Wakanda and you're applying for an event management job, on that event management job posting, they have said to you that they want you to have maybe stakeholder engagement or problem-solving skills, right? And while you were a customer service manager at the government of Wakanda, like it's listed here, you use your problem-solving skills to maybe resolve 70% of customer complaints on the first interaction. That is the job description you want to list first under customer service manager. So your job description 1 is successfully resolved 70% of customer complaints on the first call through effective problem solving or through problem solving. Right? That's what you want to list first, because they have said that even though the role is for event management, they have said in the job posting that problem solving is something that they're looking for. Right? So that's just, so because I know that we struggle with how to weave these things in, the language and things like that. And I know it's a struggle. I have also gone through those struggles, but it's something that you would understand. The more you learn, the more you would understand it. And the more you test, it's also about testing. So sometimes you send like 3 different types of resumes. You want to be measuring which one is getting the best response, which one is, getting you the most interviews. So it's like an A/B testing scenario where you're sending out 2 different things and you're trying to check which one is most. You have to be paying attention also. You have to be really paying attention. Another thing I want to mention here before we go forward is, okay, someone is saying something. I'm just going to see if I can find that person. If you can just try to mute yourself so that we don't, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for paying attention. Please try to mute yourself so you do not have your business. It's being recorded. So I don't want you to have your business out here on, the recording. So going on, I want to say that as you're applying for jobs, you have to be very attentive. You have to be paying attention. You have to ask yourself, if you're applying for jobs and you're not getting what you want yet, ask yourself, where is the process getting truncated? At some point when I just got to Canada, I realized that my process was getting truncated when people checked my LinkedIn profile. So sometimes you're not getting interviews. And then you're thinking, what's happening? Why am I not getting interviews? Maybe it could be a resume, or maybe it's your LinkedIn profile or your social media footprint. So you really want to be finding out what is happening. Where is the process getting truncated so that you can know what to work on, what to address. So if you're not getting interview invites at all, pay attention to your social media footprints. Pay attention to your LinkedIn, particularly if you have the LinkedIn profile there. So it might not be a resume. It might be that there's something on your LinkedIn profile that's causing challenges. If somebody has looked at your resume and they have looked at your LinkedIn profile, it must mean that they liked your resume enough to look at your LinkedIn profile. Right. So I just want to mention that. So pay attention, very important to pay attention to the process so that you can know where things are getting truncated and then address whatever the challenges are. Moving on. So zeroing in on professional summary, I wanted us to talk a bit more on doing your professional summary because, like I said, we got feedback that that's something that. Good question. The way to know is for you to, thank you for that question. So someone is saying, how do you know where your process gets truncated? The way you know by paying attention to the process. So if you're getting interviews, like you're getting interviews regularly, you know that. So for example, when I was in the job market, I used to get interviews regularly. So I knew that my resume was not a problem. I knew that maybe I needed to maybe upgrade my interviewing skills, or it was just not a fit. There are times when I would go for interviews and I realize I don't even want to work there anyway, right? So it might be that. It might be that. That's why I said you should also pay attention to your social media footprint. If you have your LinkedIn listed or if your LinkedIn is active, pay attention to it. Go Google yourself. Google yourself, please. Google yourself. Very important. What is Google saying about you? Is it that place where you made a comment that, this, whatever comment you have made, be careful with your social media footprint. Check what is showing about you on Google because employers do Google people. So you need to check that also. And then you want to be paying attention to, again, go back to the LinkedIn profile. Check who is viewing your profile. If you're not on the LinkedIn paid, plan, you would not be able to see more than 5 people. So what I used to do, thank you very much for sharing, Winnie. And I'm sorry that's happening to you right now. We can certainly have a conversation about that at some point, but I'm sorry. Yes, I'm glad you've been able to identify that. I'm glad you've been able to identify that. But if you're not getting interview invites, continue to check your LinkedIn. Always check it maybe a few times per day. Always checking your profile. Because again, if you're applying very actively and 6 people have checked your profile, you won't see the 6th person if you're not paying LinkedIn. You will only see the first 5 people. And the last 5 people might just be your secondary school mates or your high school mates, university mates or whoever, right? The 6th person you're not seeing might be that potential employer. So you really want to know where the process is, I hope that helps you to identify where the process is getting truncated. So moving on, why is your professional summary important? It is important because, let me see. It's quite expensive to subscribe to premium. I wouldn't say subscribe. If you do subscribe, it can be helpful because there's lots of learning that's happening there. You get access to lots of things, but you don't have to. You just need to pay more attention to your profile. I don't want to believe that more than 5 employers will be checking your profile daily or 6. Just try to check it. Maybe make a note to check your LinkedIn profile. Who is checking your LinkedIn profile? Maybe a couple of times daily, so that you can see as it's happening. I know it used to happen to me that I would feel so pained that, oh, I missed out the last, 5 people. At some point, I was forced to actually subscribe to premium, but you don't have to. Just check your LinkedIn profile often and go and Google yourself. Go and Google yourself. What is showing up about you on Google when you Google yourself? Okay. Talking about your professional summary, it's practically your first impression. Very important for you to pay attention to it. And remember those 7.4 seconds that recruiters spend on resumes? this is where they spend it. Right? Because that's the first thing they're looking at. This is where they spend it. So you want to really, really be putting your best foot forward. So even if you want to tailor anything, even if you don't want to tailor anything else, please tailor your professional summary. Tailor your professional summary, particularly for jobs that you really do like. So very quickly, let's talk about a quick 4-step model that you can use to write your professional summary. And the statement is going to look familiar to you once we are done. So step 1, identify your profession and years of experience. Thank you, Winnie. Thank you. Identify your profession and the years of experience that you have. So, and this seems like a no-brainer, right? But I remember when I was coming to Canada, and I participated because we came as skilled workers. We had access to pre-arrival programs. We would often get asked, oh, which profession would you like to practice in Canada? And I would say, oh, I'm open to anything. And I've heard that from so many people. I cannot even count the number of people who have told me I'm open to anything. It's not enough for you to be open to anything, please. Identify 3, 4, 5 job positions, job roles that you would like to, build your career in. And you are not a tree. You can change. You can change every week. You can change every 2 weeks. You can change every 3 weeks. You can certainly change, but it is not beneficial for you to know where you want to build your career. So identify that, know your number of years of experience. The next thing is you want to highlight your key skills or expertise or the tools. The point here is pay attention to the job posting. If you have, even if it's just 1 year of experience that you have, chances are you have up to like 10 different skills because you went to study, you practice, you worked with different people, you have up to like 10 skills. Your cue is pay attention to what they're saying is important in the job posting. And we have a detailed explanation on this in the resume writing toolkit. This third step is you want to showcase your key achievements. So I see a lot of people saying things like, able to use proven ability to develop innovative software and helping clients to, just using words. Your professional summary is a place where you can demonstrate a key achievement. The cue here is for you to demonstrate a key achievement that is linked to what is important to them as stated in the job posting. So if they have said that they are looking for maybe an IT tech support who has problem-solving skills, and they're looking for somebody who has collaborative skills. This is where you want to be stating an achievement that is related to problem-solving and collaboration, right? So very important for you the model might look simple, but it is the way you use it that makes all the difference. And lastly, you want to tailor your resume, so your summary to the company you're applying to, particularly if it's a job that you really, really want. For survival jobs, maybe not, but particularly if it's a job that you really, really want, very important for you to tailor it to the organization. So someone says here, should you have both skills and achievement section on a resume? It depends on how long your resume is. Again, please keep it to two pages. Depends on how much of experience you need to have on that resume, and it depends on the strategy you want to apply. So I would say if you haven't tried any of these things already, if you're applying for the same positions across different organizations, test both. So I have tested both. What I think worked for me, where I was crunched for space, is that even correct grammar? Where I was struggling for space was I combined my skills. I embedded my skills under my achievements. So I had an achievement section right after my professional summary section. And I listed something like this is just off the top of my head. It probably wouldn't make sense. Led a team of 10 to resolve 50 customer complaints within the agreed timeline through effective collaboration or stakeholder engagement or process automation or, so I now wove in my skill. That's where the through comes in. I wove in my skills into the achievement. I hope that answers your question. Yes, 2 pages can be enough. I have 16 years of experience and my resume is in 2 pages. So the key is for you, so to shrink your resume, consider listing your skills in columns, number 1. Number 2, you want to ensure that you discard anything. And I know this is tough for anybody to hear. And I've said this to you before, that if you don't take any other thing, take this. But again, take this one too. Anything that they don't ask for on the job posting, remove it from your resume. They don't need it. You're stressing them. You are stressing them out by listing 10 job descriptions or all those activities that you've done that are not relevant to the position. In fact, you can actually only list jobs. So if you're worried about gaps in your resume, so if you have 8 years of experience and you're thinking, the job position that's very related to this role that I'm applying for is only maybe like a 2-year position. So wouldn't it look like I have only 2 years of experience? Great. List out the position. List out those positions. So customer relationship manager, event planner, IT tech support, list them out, list the dates, list the names of the organizations, and maximally include the context. So there's more also on context in the resume writing toolkit. Maximally include it context, right? So you can actually just list out positions without including. So let me quickly show you. Can I still quickly go back? Without including this part. This part, you can list out only this part without including this. As long as you have listed your position, the organization, the context, the dates, and the job description for the parts that are related to the job that you're applying for. Take anything that is not relevant to the job posting out. Tough to hear, tough pill to swallow. It didn't make sense to me, but I tell you, that might be the game changer for you. Okay, so I hope I answered everybody's question. So let's go and look at the final statement now. Because we have very little time left, I do not want to spend a lot of time on the final statement. Feel free to take a screenshot of the final statement so you can see what it looks like. If you want, I can also go back so you can take a screenshot of the previous page so you can look at it. And then I will move on. I want to believe you have done the screenshots. So this is what the final statement looks like. Your profession, your years of experience. Again, to play around years of experience, if the job is asking for just 2 years of experience and you have 10 years of experience, skip the years of experience. Experienced software developer with expertise in. So skip 5 years experience. So it's about being also flexible in our thinking, in our application, in our work, in the way we do this. So if the job position is asking for 10 years of experience and you have 10 years, great. With 10 years of experience in. If it's asking for 7, you have 7 with 7 years of experience in. If it's asking for 2 and you have 15, skip the number of years of experience with expertise in. State what is important to them. Pick what's important to them from the job posting and state it. And we have a detailed video on how to analyze job postings on the resume writing toolkit. So moving on now. Okay, keywords optimization. Try to use relevant job-specific words, very important, to your career. And this is why you also need to do that research that I said you should do before you start working on your resume. This is why also you need to have conversations with actual human beings. This is why you need to network, because that's where you will learn all of these things. If you don't network, if you don't talk to people, you will not be able to know the words. For some, you might think something is the buzzword from your home country. Here in Canada, it might not be the buzzword. So you really need to know what the words are. And if you've noticed the Canadian system, it runs very strongly on templates. So somebody has a template, every other person is applying the same template. You're doing something outside of the template, you're slipping through the cracks. That's the challenge. So very important for you to do your research. Align the keywords, keywords with job descriptions. I've mentioned this many times in this webinar. Avoid keyword stuffing. So even though we have said use keywords, it's not for you to say, okay, because they've said collaborate, they've said project management, they've talked about teamwork, and then you have collaboration, a project manager collaborating and using teamwork. You're stuffing too many keywords into one sentence. You have to be strategic about it. And there's a detailed explanation on how to strategically position keywords in your resume in the Canadian Resume Writing Toolkit that we're going to introduce to you very shortly. Focus on natural language. Also, there's a flow. We struggle with that also because we are saying use the exact words on the job posting. And then you're saying I should focus on natural language. How easy can that be? It can be. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you that it's easy, but it can be done. I have to be honest with you. If you're going to work on your resume, the first time you're working on so there's something I call the master resume. That can be as long as you want it. It can be as long as 10 pages. dump everything in there. So if you're going to be working on that blanket resume, master resume, it's going to take a while. It's going to take some hours for you to get it done. But I assure you, once you have done that first work, it's a matter of just making minor adjustments, copying and pasting through the rest of your tailoring as you are on your your job application journey. And hopefully, certainly, not even hopefully, this has worked for many people. If you apply what you're going to learn, I'm 100% sure. I'm not even saying maybe you would begin to get interviews. I know you will begin to get interviews because the Canadian system runs on templates. Right? I know that there are other things, biases and challenges that might be working against newcomers, but if you apply this tips, you will be able to at least get through and get a few more interviews. So moving on, you want to incorporate the keywords into multiple sections. So it's not enough for you to just mention the project management if it's important to them as seen in the job posting, only in your professional summary. You want to ensure that you talk about that in a few other parts of your job description. Again, it's in the resume writing toolkit. I know I'm sounding very sell-ish or salesy right now. And I embrace that because I know you need it. So emphasize transferable skills. Very important for you to think of your transferable skills. There are some skills that are applicable in every profession. If you have really applied yourself in your previous jobs, there are some skills that you really would know about, like teamwork, leadership, communication, stakeholder engagement, collaboration. Those skills they're applicable to any profession, right? So try to translate your job titles and responsibilities. I've had questions from people saying, well, doesn't it look like I'm lying if I use a different job? No, it's not, you're not lying. It's just what it's called here in Canada. And there's a video in the toolkit that shows what exactly, how you can get what jobs are called, even alternative names that some job titles are called in Canada. Again, you want to highlight your global perspective. Your international experience is an advantage. It is not a disadvantage. It is an advantage. So please, just take advantage of that. You want to quantify your achievements, very important. So it's not enough for you to say, oh, I resolved customer issues. How many? Or to say, oh, delivered workshops and trainings. How many? In how much time? Very important for you to have those, stated there. Connect your experience to the Canadian industry standards. Again, if you don't know what the Canadian industry standards are, then you cannot connect your experience. So do your research. Very important to do your research. You could start from the job bank, and there's a video on the job bank in the resume writing toolkit. So talking about gaps in your employment, you want to showcase any constructive activity that you have done in that time. So gaps are the times when maybe you were not employed for 6 months, 1 year, 3 months, whatever time. Showcase the constructive activity, which is why even when you're down, even when you don't have a job, find a way to be productively engaged, learning, volunteering, building relationships, just doing that networking, building your social media, sharing information, applying, just do something that is productive and can apply towards your experience. So reframe unrelated work experience. Again, if it's something that seems like it's not related to, the example I gave of event management and customer service, if you have used problem solving, apply it to it. Reframe it, in a way that's creative, and be proactive. Know that questions might come up about your gaps, the gaps in your employment, and think of your responses beforehand, not at the point of the interaction or engagement. Okay, and it's a wrap. Okay, I thought I was going to be late, but I think we're still on time. It's a wrap. So these are some key steps you want to be taking now. Ensure that you apply what you've learned today. It's never easy to apply our learning. I want us to know that it is never, ever easy. It's never going to be straightforward. You would never have the time to do your resume properly. I hope you know that. You have to build the time into your calendar. So you cannot say, oh, when I have a chance next week. No, it doesn't work. It's a case of, I will build time into my calendar next week or tomorrow to do my resume. It's not, oh, when I get a chance, I will do it. I will do it at this time, and I will build the time into my calendar. You have to stay connected with us. We'd like to stay connected with you on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. I'll share the links when we're done, so that you can stay connected with us on those platforms if you're not already connected with us. And if you have any comments, thoughts, or questions, this is the time when you want to be sharing that.